Hello friends and family, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today's video, I am actually going to be making a pumpkin pie from scratch. So we'll see how this turns out. Never really done anything like this before. This weekend is actually Thanksgiving in Canada. So I've decided to make the pie today just because I'm not celebrating Thanksgiving with my family this year, obviously, because I'm not in Canada. But I really love pumpkin pie and thought, let's try to make it. Went to the farmer's market a couple weeks ago and found a pumpkin. I was like, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna try making it from scratch. So let's see how this goes. So the first thing I'm gonna do is cut this pumpkin in half. Literally just right down the middle. And then I'm going to put it in the oven at 200 Celsius, which is 400 Fahrenheit, for those of you who do not know. And I have to let it cook for 45 minutes before I can turn it into a paste for the filling. Okay, so I'm going to just cut the pumpkin from the middle all the way down. Now the other side. Never cut a pumpkin like this before. Normally, no, you just carve it normally for, you know, Halloween. But, you know, today is not for Halloween. Funny thing about Europe as well, they don't really celebrate Halloween, which sucks for me because for those of you who know me, I love a good Halloween costume. But, oh well, it's okay. Europe has other great qualities, and Halloween is just not one of them. Okay, so now, for the pumpkin, you can see all of the insides. It's pretty dense. Never seen a pumpkin with literally barely any pumpkin seeds, but that's okay. I'm going to scoop out the insides and put them in a bowl, and later I'm going to take out all the pumpkin seeds and cook those in the oven. So I'm just trying to get all of the insides out without removing any of the actual pumpkin, which is what we want to use for our filling. Yummy. And now into this bowl. I mean, now that I'm scooping this, I can kind of see a good amount of pumpkin seeds for a small pumpkin, so I'm pretty happy. Almost done. Just want to get the last bit of the guts out. And now it is hollow. And I'm going to place it on a baking sheet. And now I'm just going to hollow this one. Now that both of my pumpkins are hollowed out, I place them on a baking sheet with some baking paper, just so the pumpkins don't get dirty by the sheet. I don't really want to clean it. It was also in the oven when I turned it on, so it's a little hot, so yeah, I don't really want to do that. Also, I have a lot of insides that I can pick apart. Now into the oven this goes. For 45 minutes. So while the pumpkin is in the oven, now I'm going to start working on the pie crust. So I need some flour. I also have this all-purpose flour, so I'm going to try using this. I don't know if I have enough, so I have some of this as well, which is just regular flour. I don't know. It asks for shortening, but they don't really have shortening here, not that I've noticed. So I'm using cooking fat, and I use this for a different recipe when it asks for shortening, so I think it'll be fine. A little bit of salt, and that is it for the crust. Okay, so now I'm going to start by mixing the flour into the bowl. So what's been a little bit challenging with cooking in Europe is that the measuring cups are grams and liters, which I totally understand what they are because in Canadian we learned that in school, but when we cook, we use cups. And I have to use 1 1/3 cup of flour for this, but you know, this does not show me a cup. So I have to convert it into grams and then go from there, which is kind of been annoying, but we make it work. So for 1.25 cups, I am putting a little bit less than 200 grams of flour. Yeah, I think that's about right. Into the bowl it goes. Now I need to put 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So since we don't really have our measuring stuff here because the house didn't really come equipped with it, I'm just going to freehand it and guess what 1/2 teaspoon is. I did take a nutrition class where the teacher did talk to us about proportions in our hands. It's just, you know, say that's about good. Good enough anyways. Okay, now it asks for 1/2 cup of shortening, which is 68 grams. Okay, so this is about 100, so roughly how much we need. So now I'm going to put this in a separate bowl and I'm going to melt it so I can put it in with my flour. Okay, so I'm going to put this into the microwave for, I don't know, I guess 30 seconds, and if I need more time then I will put more time. Okay, so that looks pretty melted, so now I'm just going to take a fork and just mix it just so it's an even consistency all around, so it's easier to put in to the flour and mix. Okay, I'd say that looks about good. Now I'm going to put it into my flour and salt mixture. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix it just a little tiny bit, and it asks for about 3 or 4 tablespoons of water for this mixture as well. So I'm just gonna start by putting my first tablespoon of water. And it says 1 tablespoon at a time, so I'm just going to follow the instructions and just, you know, keep mixing and then add gradually my water. So for my dough, I used about 4 tablespoons of water. Now I just need to sprinkle a little bit of flour onto the counter and roll out my dough for the pie crust. So the only problem about rolling this out is I don't really have a rolling pin, so I'm going to improvise and try to find something that I can roll with. Maybe a wine bottle if you have any. If not, I will use this hand mixer, which probably is not a good idea, so I will not do that. So I did find this empty wine bottle from, I think, last weekend. It is a little dirty, so I'm gonna wash it first and probably take off the label, just so, you know, it doesn't really mix in with my dough. So I've done about the best that I could with taking off the label. It's just, you know, a little bit of the sticky part still, but it should be fine. I think it'll roll nicely. I'll make it roll nicely. Okay, so now I'm going to roll out my dough. So I'm just going to put a little bit of flour on the board. I feel like that's good enough. And I'm going to take my rolling pin. So I've rolled out my dough. Now I'm going to put it in this kind of pan. It's not the best thing to put for a pie, but it's the most circle thing we have, so I'm gonna make it work. I'm trying to flatten the bottom as much as I can. Make sure everything's even. Okay, now I'm going to, it's almost even, but now I'm going to kind of take the pie crust on the sides and kind of make a design out of it just so it looks a little bit nicer than this. So this is the finished product. I just did like a little crinkly design all around. Hopefully this is enough pie crust for the filling, but we are still waiting for the pumpkin, so we shall see in a little bit. So the pumpkin is cooked. It's a little hot right now, so I'm just going to let it cool off. But as you can see, it's like kind of mushy, so it'll be good to mash up once we are ready to do that. So now that the pumpkin is cooked and it's mostly cooled down, I'm just going to start scooping it and putting it into a bowl. Okay, so this is about all empty now. About how much is in the bowl. So there is a lot of liquid, so I'm just gonna also drain it out and then do the other side. So for the pie filling, I used my pumpkin, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 whole can of concentrated milk. I'd asked for evaporated milk, but couldn't find it, so this is good enough. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, ginger, and nutmeg. And now I'm going to mix it all together with the... So I also forgot I needed to add 2 eggs, so I'm adding that now. And then it's been a little bit too sweet, I think. So I'm adding a little bit more nutmeg and ginger and a little bit more cinnamon just so it makes it a little bit more spicy. Okay, so now that I've mixed everything together in this bowl, now I'm going to put it into the pie crust. There is a lot of mixture in here, so I'm probably not going to use everything. But see how much. I think that's good. Yeah. As you can see, there's still like, quite a lot. But it is done. Now I'm going to put it in the oven and we wait about 40 minutes for it to cook. So this is the finished look. It did, crisp over a little bit, but that's okay. While the pie was cooking, I did clean out all of the pumpkin seeds. So as you can see, I do have enough. I'm just letting it dry and then I'm going to spice them and put them in the oven. So overall, cooking the pumpkin pie wasn't that difficult. It's just a little bit time consuming, but in the end, it is done. I am going to try it soon and let you know how it is.